end a networking conversation gracefully? I think about those comedians who talk about first dates and how awkward they are, and what do you do at the end of the date to say goodbye and wrap up. And I think sometimes for us that networking can feel the same way. We've gotten into this conversation. The opening was great. You say hi, introduce yourself, you find out a little bit about them, and you have this conversation. And then you realize, especially at an in-person event, it's time to continue moving around, to continue to mingle, to continue to connect to other people at this event. But how do you end this conversation in person? Well, I know that for some people, it's very difficult because they want to be polite. They want to be graceful. They do not want to feel rude. And sometimes when you have someone who themselves do not seem to be able to end the conversation, you end up in this awkward situation where either they've taken over the conversation, they won't let you get a word in edgewise, or they keep dragging it out because they don't know how to end it. So I want to share with you several strategies that I have used over the years to wrap up conversations, and especially in person, wrapping up conversations in a way that not only does not feel rude, but that leaves the other person feeling really positive and helps them continue with their own networking. I firmly believe that it is okay to have lines prepared, not like going into a bar and having your favorite pickup lines, but we don't want to go into networking events just completely winging it, completely unprepared. And having particular opening lines or conversation starters or conversation mover alongers, ways to keep the conversation moving along, and ways to wrap up is a perfectly legitimate and useful strategy and skill. So you may just want to rehearse them in your head. You may want to have them written down. Maybe have yourself a little networking cheat sheet. But I want to share with you several strategies that I have used for many, many years in wrapping up an in-person networking conversation. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the different types of online networking conversations that we have, including those, hey, let's meet for 15 minutes on Zoom and have a get to know you conversation that drags out into 30 or 40 minutes. Now, that might be because you're having a great connection, you're having a great conversation, and you always want the flexibility for that. But as with your in-person networking, you don't want it to extend out because no one can figure out how to say goodbye. As my dad used to say when I was a teenager and he was picking me up from hanging out with my friends, hey, nobody likes a long goodbye. So here are several strategies that you can use. First of all is keeping in mind that this is not only to your benefit, it's to the other person's benefit. If the important things have been said and you feel the need to continue to move around the room, talk to someone else, the other person may also have that same sense. They just don't know how to end the conversation. And it is likely that you will have put more thought and more preparation into your networking conversational skills than most of the people you're going to run into at a networking event. One of the best closing lines that I've used in a networking conversation in person is to say, it was really nice meeting you. I've got to keep networking and connecting with other people, and I'm sure you do too. So again, it was a pleasure, and I hope to see you next time. It's very thoughtful of their time. They need to meet other people, and there might be someone else that they're trying to connect with at that event. So you're acknowledging their needs. You are also being clear that you are here to mingle, to network, and to connect with other people. And I think that type of honesty is a very good policy, and you should always operate from that position. a networking conversation is all about wrapping it up in a positive and encouraging way, but also, hearkening back to talking about comedians, talking about awkward endings and awkward goodbyes, is also not promising more than you really intend to do. I think one of the things that happens sometimes is we feel like there should be more. We should follow up. We should have another coffee meeting, but being very deliberate and careful and intentional about the next step. So when you wrap up that conversation, you can leave it open-ended. I look forward to seeing you again sometime. Or if you really do feel like there needs to be another conversation, and so there's two sides to that. So there's two parts to this. You feel like there needs to be more conversation. Maybe you feel like there needs to be more conversation, but you're not sure if they want more conversation. So you can always wrap it up by saying, I'd like to reach out to you and follow up and see if there is more conversation to be had, or to see if we'd like to continue this conversation. And not even asking them, is that okay, or shall I do that? Just leaving it very, I will reach out and see, so that they have time to think about it and respond later. Or if it's really clear that you've had an incredible conversation, it's almost better to end that kind of connection sooner. Hey, it sounds like we've really got a lot to talk about. There's some great opportunities here. Let's meet somewhere outside of this event. And those conversations can actually be shorter than the one where you're not sure if there's anything further that you need to discuss. I don't want to say assertive, but certainly be confident in telling someone, I really think we have a lot to talk about. Let's not do it here at this event. Let's meet later. All right. How do you end the conversation when in those unfortunate occasions where you meet someone, they give you the great pitch. They just literally lay out their features and benefits, and they do a trial close on you. How do you end that conversation? Well, I always try to show appreciation to people no matter what. And so my closing line, my wrap up, let's finish this conversation line when that happens is, thank you. Thank you for telling me about your product, or thank you for telling me about your service. I'll certainly keep it in mind. And then you can wait for them to acknowledge that. Oh, okay. So I really appreciate meeting you. And you can go up to that other option of, it was nice meeting you. I've got to keep moving. And I know you want to continue to talk to other people. So I look forward to seeing you next time. It can be hard for people who are very polite to say no, or to not agree to something that they don't want to agree to. But you're not doing them a favor, and you're certainly not doing yourself a favor. And you are the person most responsible for your time. If you let other people determine what is going to happen with your time, you know that if you let them plan your day for you, you never get done what you want to get done. What about online networking? Now, if you're here on the Blitzer platform, which is absolutely my favorite online networking platform, the awkward part is that it is a timed conversation. More often than not, you end up getting cut off at the end of the conversation. And this could be a difficult thing because you want to be engaged in the conversation, but you don't want to be watching the clock. I think the important thing in something like this, where it is online, it is timed, been to a lot of networking events where there's breakout rooms, is to not bury the lead. That's a writer's term. It's a journalism term. And that means start with the most important thing up front. Otherwise, people will get tired, or people won't get to the end, or, as in the case of a timed event like this, you do get cut off. So as with all your networking, it is okay to plan ahead. It is okay to have some lines and scripts and strategies that you have written out. And ending a networking conversation gracefully definitely is one of those things that takes planning.